The new degree actually started, in a way, 8 years ago, when we had 11,000 of our students go out and serve in relief and recovery efforts across the city in the form of the Student Volunteer Army. Observing what they had done, I created a class called Christchurch 101, Rebuilding Christchurch, so they had an opportunity to bring those service experiences back onto campus, reflect on them, and learn about what other people have done in the face of disaster. So that class trundled along for the past 8 years, and as we got to know more about students taking the class, we got to know about students who were involved in the Student Volunteer Army Club, we realized that there was a real desire among students to have an academic course of study that focused on leadership and community engagement. So the idea for this really came from the students, which is quite extraordinary, that the university would respond in such a way to say, yes, we value what the students are telling us, and we will create a degree program for them and with them in mind.
Well, it's interesting because we've designed the degree as the Bachelor of Youth and Community Leadership, and very little of it is actually structured of being told what you must do. The whole point of this degree as a leader is that you get to call a lot of the shots about what would you want to and need to know in designing your degree. Having said that, we recognise that this does kind of cluster in these 4 streams of people that we think will come together. Some of those are the activists. They're the people who are wanting to change the world, and they will draw their courses from a whole range of courses in arts, in politics, those kinds of subjects. Then there are the people who are the humanitarians. They work in the world as it is now, and they're going to be committed on how do we soften the inequalities that exist in the world. Then we have the people who want to innovate us to a better future. So they're going to be the social entrepreneurs. They'll be doing a lot of courses out of the College of Business and Law about entrepreneurship and finding better ways to structure our social services and our businesses that are more just for the future. And while we didn't imagine that this would be the case, over the course of developing the degree, we've also recognised the need for those people who want to work with youth. So there will be those people who come into the degree and their specialist focus will be around youth development, community development, and building strong leaders like they are themselves.
So one of the neat things about the degree is that there are only 5 compulsory courses. So students can bring a lot of different other courses to the table. So if a student wanted to major in political science or law or communications or chemistry or whatever, really, they can take this degree alongside what they already want to do. And the beauty of that is that we can have students who, this is their degree, so they take our compulsory courses, they take some of the optional courses alongside it, but we could also have students who major in something else and do this as a minor. The courses are specifically designed to take students through a progression of experiences. So in the 100 level, they will take Christchurch 101 and Youth and Community Leadership 101. Both classes really invite students to think about sort of what do they bring to the table with regard to being leaders and active members of their community. They'll learn different philosophies around community engagement. They'll learn about leadership styles and strategies. So it really is sort of equipping them to figure out what's their personal philosophy on leadership. The 200 level course is more focused on how do you lead others. So now that you've got your sort of own personal sense of leadership, how does that interface with other people that you're trying to lead? And then the 300 level courses, which there are 2 of them, the first one is an opportunity for students to come up with a proposal for improving some aspect of some community somewhere. So it could be here in New Zealand, it could be Fiji, it could be China, it could be anywhere. And then the second 300 level course is them actually doing it. So giving them support and scaffolding and guidance as they go from sort of the idea phase to an implementation phase. And one of the things we want this degree to be able to do is to have it accessible to people from all over the world. So we're designing these courses with that in mind as well, so that we could have students who are in Russia or in America or in Mexico or wherever, and they could take this degree program and they would have experiences that would be equivalent to those for the folks who are on campus.
Okay, so this is one of the interesting things with all this choice. Of course, then it makes the choice hard to make. But let me give you an example of if you were one of the people that came in here because you were interested in the humanitarian pathway. So your compulsory courses would be how and what people learn, then cultural politics and cultural activism, and globalisation, social justice and education. You would also do the 4 youth and community leadership courses over the period of 3 years. And then on top of that, you will also do media and society, education, culture and society, youth realities, comparing the politics of nations, social media, international relations and humanitarian ideals, and investigating social worlds. And then finally, just to round out the package, you would of course do Christchurch 101, which is the heritage course for the whole degree and came out of our initial work with the Student Volunteer Army.
So this degree is for anybody who has an interest in community engagement, in leadership, in changing the world effectively, right? So we know that our students who come to the University of Canterbury, they come with a couple of things in mind. Number one, they have most students have a pretty clear idea about what they want to study, be it engineering or education or health sciences or whatever it might be. The vast majority come in, they follow that path of study all the way through, so they come sort of knowing that. What we also know from the Student Volunteer Army and from watching our students over the past 8 years post-earthquake is that they also come with a desire to make a difference and to have an impact. So this degree is really the ability to tie those two things really tightly together. So we can have students who want to make a difference in the world and make an impact, and they can actually see that in this degree of study, in these courses and in the things that we'll do, the experiences that we'll have, will all be around the notion of tangata tu, tangata ora, people prepared to make a difference. So this degree is really for a lot of the students that we're already getting here at Canterbury, and they have that desire to come in and change the world and do some interesting, impactful things. But we also plan and hope to attract other students who otherwise wouldn't have thought of coming to Canterbury, and now they see this degree and they're like, whoa, this is exactly what I want to do. So essentially we're looking for the do-gooders and the folks who want to do well while they're doing good, and come out with a collection of experiences and skills that they otherwise wouldn't have gotten through another degree program that wouldn't be as focused on sort of this making a difference, making an impact kind of way.
Most of the students who would be interested in the degree will have already sort of indicated that by their actions in terms of what they've gotten involved with in their secondary schooling. So these will be the students that have become involved in things like student council, who have become involved in projects to contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals. They might have a lot of extracurricular activities as well. They might be involved in church work, and they might be involved in scouts or guiding or some kind of thing like that. So we know that students who are passionate about taking action for a better world will already be involved in these kinds of spaces. But of course the other group that are going to be involved in this degree are those people who didn't see, who are established in the not-for-profit sector or policy organisations and went there because they wanted to get on with it. So they didn't see that university had a degree that specifically suited them. And we feel this degree for them offers an opportunity to actually take those skills and get them credentialed and put into a recognised tertiary qualification. Of course, one of the questions that we get asked all the time is, but what job will I get if I take the Bachelor of Youth and Community Leadership? And it's a really important one, of course, for all of us who are about to make this investment in a tertiary degree. And the answer is, depends on what your passion is. This degree is designed so that those 4 aspects of practice that drive people to make a difference, as is the university's agenda, is where they will go. So the humanitarians and the activists are likely to be in the not-for-profit sector or maybe the policy sector. They might be in community organisations. The social entrepreneurs, of course, are going to actually make their own jobs in terms of moving forward. So they will be the innovators, the people who are likely to go into self-employment. The people who are concerned about youth work will work in the youth work sector, and we've got a recognised demand for youth workers coming through. So theirs will be focused very much in terms of moving into those organisations that work with youth and for youth in a range of settings, be they education, health or social services. But the key thing about the degree is the fact that we privilege the transferable skills. So those graduate attributes that you get from UC about being entrepreneurial, about being community engaged, about being globally aware, and about being biculturally competent and confident, we foreground those in the degree itself. So when people talk about the future and work, well, whatever degree you do, the work is changing so fast, you'll be training for jobs that don't even exist yet. We're actually future-proofing our graduates who will be able to go into all sorts of degrees that we don't know exist yet. And that's the importance of this opportunity, that whatever your passion is, you enrol in the Bachelor of Youth and Community Leadership, but you do your minor in your area of interest. So maybe in arts or commerce, whatever it might be, and you've got the best of both worlds.